peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. Thank you so much.
Boys, if you don't.
Thank you.
Can I just taste the caramel? I think
That's
that's
one cup of the Savannah Socialite in a. Thank you.
I did escape to Atlanta for several years, but I got better and I came back. I will let you know Savannah is the world's largest small town. Yes, we have darn near 400,000 in our metropolitan area, but we're still. So when you're on River Street and you look out across the Savannah River and you see the Convention Center and the Westin Hotel, that's still Savannah, Georgia. That's not South Carolina yet. So the site of the first half of our first story takes place, Hutchinson Island, and it was owned by Mr. Wise, and he had a plantation on the island. Now, a lot of people start saying, well, why would you want your plantation on the wrong side of the river back in the days for power boats and such? He didn't want it over there. We wanted him over there. We didn't like him. He was kind of rude and crude and socially unacceptable, so we were happy to put him over there, and every 4 to 6 weeks he'd braid the currents, come get supplies, and then go back. So that was Mr. Wise. Now the other two characters in our story, I got to give you a little history so you understand why they were even here in the first place. Mr. Wise. Mr. Wise is back at the house drinking cool beverages and such, so didn't have to deal with him. However, Alice Riley, she was Mr. Wise's personal servant, and she had to be with him sun up to sundown 7 days. So, amongst her chores, first thing in the morning she had to wake him up. She had to brush his hair. She had to get out the old-fashioned straight razor and shave him, then wash his face, dress him, put on his shoes, put on his tie. And the whole time he's yelling and screaming and carrying on. You're doing it too slow. You're not doing it right. And God help her if she nicked him with the razor, he'd beat her with his walking stick. So as you might imagine, she goes home every night to Richard, cries on his shoulder, says, you know, this guy's been horrible. He's abusing me. He's got, you know, put bruises on me. Can we escape? Can we start a new life somewhere else? And Richard naturally replies, honey, we're on an island. I don't own a boat. Besides, even if we could escape, they'll just hunt us down, bring us back, and add time to our servitude, which was the owner's prerogative. And so they put up with this abuse for a fair while, but finally it got so bad that they came up with a plot. I didn't say it was a wonderful plot, I just said it was a plot. And so the next morning, Alice goes in as usual and wakes him up, brushes his hair. She got out the straight razor. It would have been a really short story, but she went ahead and shaved him. Washed his face, clothes, on the tie. And then she started tightening the tie a little extra. She kept tightening. She was strangling the man with his own necktie. Well, she's kind of a small girl, wasn't making really great progress at this, when suddenly the door gets kicked in. It's Richard, the boyfriend. He grabs Mr. Wise by the back of his neck and crams his head into that bucket of water next to the shaving stick. I know we don't feel sorry for Mr. Wise because he's a bit of a horse institute, but he is fighting for his life right now. He's being drowned on dry land and being strangled with his own necktie. And this isn't like television where you strangle somebody in 15 seconds and break for commercial. It takes 7-8 minutes of concerted effort to put somebody down like that because they're fighting back. Well, he's thrashing all about, and eventually this tie has abraded his neck somewhat, so he's bleeding. So water, shaving foam, and blood are going everywhere. Well, after several minutes, he stops fighting. He's gone. He's dead. Now we found out how bad this plot really is. Remember, island, no boat. That island is less than a mile long, if you remember. Fewer than 100 people are working on that plantation. Everybody knows everybody else. You're the only two people covered with water, shaving foam, and blood. Did not take them very long to figure out who had done what to who. Richard was lynched on the spot. Alice didn't get lynched though because she made a special plea. Well, Alice pled her tummy. Yep, she was carrying the child for now swinging in the breeze dead boyfriend. So the colonists are kind of at odds of what do we do with this woman? The law says she's a murderess. We get to hang her. Common sense says she has an innocent life inside. We can't kill her yet. So they locked her up in the city jail, which was not always a CVS pharmacy. As a matter of fact, this is our first homicide. We didn't have a jail yet. Nobody's been bad. We have been concentrated on building businesses, homes, places of worship. We didn't have a jail, so we borrowed the basement to that building. It's an unfinished basement, dirt floor, stone walls. She does in fact haunt right square where we are right now, and her haunt manifests in the form of young moms, maybe a little late at night pushing the stroller through the square, maybe after 10:30, will be accosted by a woman dressed in all white, who will stoop down and block the path of the stroller and stare into its eyes. And it's Alice looking for the baby she was never allowed to hold. That's the first ghost of the Georgia colony, and probably the most tragic. Spanish moss won't grow in Johnson Square, so actually I hold my beer. And I lived right next to the woods, and I had a 1970 Chevy Impala with that huge trunk. So I opened my trunk and stuffed it full of Spanish moss for where that black car is. And I covered that branch right there as far as I could reach with Spanish moss. In 2 weeks' time, it was dead and on the ground. I will vouch for it. This stuff doesn't grow in this square. And nobody knows why except for the fact that he hated it. So not all ghosts are mean and evil. Some of them are just kind of OCD and like it cool and clean. So thank you, Nathaniel Green, for that. Now, all these little children that used to play in the square, their little spirits are attracted to the warmth, the comfort, and the yummy food smells of the Pink House. Now, have any of y'all ever been servers, waiters, waitresses, that sort of thing? Okay, so you'll get this. End of the evening, you've tipped out, you got that nice envelope of stick, and you're filling your salts and peppers, doing your side work. You'll hear giggling and running up and down the stairs, up and down the halls, and you'll suddenly notice some of your salt and peppers or sauces are missing. Maybe your envelope is missing. You'll find it in a few minutes. It'll be under the stairs. It'll be in a closet or something. But then you'll hear the giggling and the running again. It's the little kid spirits. They're not cruel. They're not mean, but they are little pranksters. What's really cool is you can go onto YouTube and search Ye Old Pink House surveillance videos, and some of the videos show orbs going up and down the hallway along with the sound of the giggling and running. So it's kind of cool to see high tech supporting some of the old world beliefs. So that's one ghost, and I promise you 2 ghost stories. Down there where you see the flaming sconces against the walls, all right, that's the tavern. It's adjacent to the restaurant. Now, as you might imagine, there's a men's room and there's a ladies' room. Which has the longest line?
Ladies.
Always the ladies' room. So all the ladies get kind of excited when they hear there's a second ladies' room downstairs. Don't go down there. Mrs. Habersham in life was a very jealous woman, always accusing her husband of having what they call in the day dalliances. And so she hasn't gotten any better in 130 some odd years. And so if you go down to that restroom and she thinks that you're prettier than she was, she'll hold the door shut. You won't be able to get out of the stall. We'll send a server to go check on you, and the server can open the door easy as pie, because at that point Ms. Habersham is done with you. So just don't go down there. Just wait your turn in line. Everything's going to be okay. So, in any case, so it was quite run down. So, 1990s, they decided they're going to restore it, bring it back to its former glory. Pretty much a straightforward thing, except, well, nowadays if you have a really nice hotel, you're going to need a nice restaurant. So you're going to need that walk-in refrigerator, freezer, some dry goods storage. They're going to have to take care of the basement. Well, according to the blueprints, the basement had an 8.5-foot clearance. Now, I'm 5'10". I went down there when I was in high school because I was kind of adventurous that way. I was banging my head on floor joists. I don't think they had an 8.5-foot clearance. A lot of dirt had been trained over the decades down into the basement. So they're going to have to dig all that out. Well, they are very responsible citizens. Every ounce of dirt they dug out of there, they screened looking for artifacts. And they found, lock sets, hinges, doorknobs, pots, pans, plates, nice work. Things you'd expect from a hotel that operated from the 1850s to the 1950s. But when they got really far down to the bottom and when they got to the edges is when they started finding bones, human bones. Weird thing though, just arm and leg bones. Didn't find any skulls or spines, ribs, rib cages, pelt, just arm and leg bones. And they're wondering, what madman came through town? What do you do with the rest of the carcasses? Because, you know, inquiring minds want to know. Oh yeah, a little bit of research, the late unpleasantness, the War of Northern Aggression, the American Civil War. Well, remember, Sherman burned Atlanta to the ground. Then he was making that march to the sea. Well, he burned Macon, he burned just about everything. When he got to the outskirts of Savannah, he was met by a superior force, Savannah's women. Several outstanding women, socialites, had marched out to greet the troops. And they essentially chewed their ears really well. And by the time it was all over with, it was pretty much yes ma'am, no ma'am. And while they were here, they used the Marshall House as a hospital, and the basement was an operating room. Keep in mind that the American Civil War was the first truly modern war, first war where they used rifles, rifled cannon, new levels of explosives. The injuries were atrocious. And they still didn't have anesthesia. And so when they had arms and legs were damaged beyond repair, the order was remove them quickly. Toss them to the side of the room. When you get a full layer of arms and legs, an orderly will come around with lime dust, sprinkle that down to keep odors down, and they'll start a fresh layer of arms and legs. Not unlike lasagna where you have noodles, meat, cheese. Now you've got arms, legs, lime dust. There you go. And so there's nothing in those orders about keeping these arms and legs there for 130 something years, but guess what? There they were. Down there.
The flash is on. Press that button. Press it off.
Alrighty, so welcome to Colonial Cemetery. This was closed in 1853 to new residents, shall we say. By that point, we've had somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 people buried
There's
here.
an orb on my thing.
Now, a lot of you can look and see length times width. That's a lot of
Do you
people
see
in a
it?
small area. Here's how it's done. You'll notice not why it's haunted. They knew that's what the burial practices were, so they were fine with that. It's what happened during the Civil War that was the problem.